how to keep batteries long term. We'll stick with the computers and tech stuff because that's what we're going with. Is batteries long term? You want them to charge up to 100%, then no longer charge them until they're nearly dead again, and power the battery. It's like let the battery power cycle like that because that's how they were designed. That's what they're made to do. The chemicals in them. I can't give you like the exact scientific
And
formula.
that's which
why?
kind?
The tech computers and things like that.
Oh, they
Yeah.
are that way.
Yes,
I've been saying this.
I know that.
I swear you've been telling me it doesn't matter.
Now, this is going to make sure that they have the longest life cycle.
Yes.
If you have them plugged in, though, it's not going to diminish it ridiculous amounts.
Okay, so personal story. I had a laptop from 2009 up until 5 years ago. I had the same computer. It was for 5 years. I had the same really cheap Toshiba laptop. And I tried really hard to always like let the battery drain so that it would be that way, and it was pretty good for most of those 5 years. It was good, but eventually it did get to the point where it has to be plugged in to work, and that's kind of ultimately why I stopped using it, because it's a pain in the butt. And then as soon as it unplugs, it just stops. And so it's really important to me, especially because I try to make my tech last as long as I can, that I do the long cycle for the. And so that's why, like, when my tech gets left plugged in when it's already full battery, it drives me so frustrated.
Typically, batteries have, like, I think the lifespan usually is about 1,000 charges. Generally, that's like give or take like 1,000 to 2,000 charges.
It's only like 3 years of daily charging.
And you start noticing that after 3 years, your phone like becomes significantly more dependent on charging throughout the day. That's typically the point where you notice it as a consumer.
But it is good. So it is, what you're saying though is it is confirmed ideal to not just charge or leave it plugged in charging all the time, but to let it get down to 20 or 30% before charging it back up again.
Yeah. Okay, recycling batteries.
That one. Oh, yes.
How and where, and why not just throw them in trash? Because they're toxic. Have you ever had a battery leak on you?
Oh.
They will eat through you like the aliens. What is it in the alien movies? That their blood is toxic and like eats through metal. Like the batteries are corrosive to the point where it like I used to have I got one of these game controllers, those ones that you got at the mall that had like 1,000 games in them, but really it was 10 games that they just repeated over and over again. So we got one of those cheap little bastard things, and the problem was it was battery powered and also powered by cord. Now, apparently, this is one of those things that were not designed to have both battery and cord plugged in. If you plugged the cord in and had the batteries in the device, the batteries would explode.
Ooh.
And they would leak all over you. And so this controller was designed like a Nintendo 64 controller. I don't know if you remember what those looked like. Those had the 3 bars, and you had like the joystick in the middle, and then on the back there was like a cartridge. Well, in this device, that was where the batteries sat. So if you're playing the controller and the batteries explode and start leaking on your legs, like I'm surprised I don't have scars from them. But yeah, it burnt straight through my jeans. Holes in the jeans, like it just ate through them, and then you just.
All right, so it's toxic material that we definitely don't want on us, and it would be really, really bad to have in landfills. So where do we recycle batteries?
googling like battery recycling. Oftentimes Best Buys have like some sort of recycling program, or your
Tech places
yeah
in
tech
general.
places. You can ask around if like they don't have it, then they probably know who does. But yeah, definitely want to, and they might, some places might charge you, some depending on the area you go to, you might get charged to recycle them, which
Hmm.
is annoying and inconvenient, but better
Better
for the
than the
world. Yeah.
environment. Yeah.
Apple is also dropping iTunes, which they're going to be replacing it with 3 different apps. I believe it was music, like Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and Apple TV or Apple Movies or Apple.
Huh.
What
an interesting move.
Yeah, I guess they're getting rid of the whole i system in general.
I mean, that makes sense.
Is what
I
it
think
sounds
it's like
like.
cheesy, the iTunes i.
It was cool in the 90s and 2000s, but now, marketing has moved on.
I'm not sure for the consumer to split all of those things what the benefit would be, because if you want to listen to something, wouldn't it be nice to just search all of your listenable things, podcasts with music and so forth?
There's nuances to it, because the way you listen to podcasts is not the way you listen to music.
And what do you mean?
So music, you often create like a playlist of music, and you have a whole different interface.
You'll listen to it again and repeatedly.
Yeah, you don't necessarily shuffle your podcast or create playlists of podcasts.
Okay, I can see what you're saying.
So it's kind of the concept of like you could have one app that does everything kind of shitty, or 3 apps that do everything kind of well.
Okay, that makes sense. I just get bogged down with too many apps. I've got too many, and I'm sure I'm gonna need more over the years.
Yeah, it's I've been finding I find it easier to find exactly what you want to do. Find an app that helps you do that. And then if it works alongside with other apps, then great. So, for instance, Google is our example right now when it comes to phones. We use the Pixels because if you went with Samsung, you have all the Google apps because it's a Google Android operating system, and all the Samsung apps, which are already going to overlap with each other.
It's redundant.
Because Samsung has their own mail app, their own internet
Fitness.
app, their own fit app,
Yeah,
things like that. So neither one of them is better than the other. So
you couldn't uninstall them was a part of the problem that I had when I had my Samsung.
Exactly. And also Samsung is partnering with other things like Facebook. You can't uninstall Facebook from Samsung.
You can't uninstall Facebook?
Nope.
That's so
at least in the Samsungs
annoying.
that I've seen recently.
Wow.
So we just stick with Google because it's pure Android experience. Yes, we have the Google apps, but then we don't have any of the other apps. So our music is the Google Music. Our podcast or the Google Podcast, very straightforward, one system correlating with all the apps. I actually stopped using Google Fit though and ended up using Google Fit or Fitbit because I think the system in there was better.
I don't love either of them.
Yeah, they're not the greatest, but I think the system that Fitbit has is better than the Google Fit system. The one problem it doesn't have is the weightlifting tracking. You can track the amount of time and the intensity of your workout, but you can't actually track like your goals and things. So I have just one separate app just for that portion, and it doesn't sync with it, but it doesn't necessarily have to because that app is good at doing the one thing really well, which is tracking weights, while Google Fit can track general health goals pretty well. Or Fitbit, sorry. Not Google Fit. But yeah, so those are the kind of the two that's kind of the situation where instead of just having Fitbit be the all-in-one, having 2 apps, but trying to minimize the amount of apps that you're using, but get everything that you want to have done. Back to your complaint, which was you don't want to have all sorts of apps for everything. That's it. I get it, and that's what I do is try to minimize the amount of apps I'm using by just focusing on what I want my phone to do, and then don't bother with anything else.
I really wish there was a better audio. At this point, libraries are my best recommendation for audiobooks. We tried Audible for a while. I've tried it a couple times and then stopped and then tried it again. Stopped. But their system is not ideal. None of the I have yet to find one, but the library ones are decent and they're free. So
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it because once I found out that you could just use Audible without having to buy anything,
sorry.
you just buy the books and then you have them.
Yeah, and like that's fine, but their whole the $15 for 15 points, and then you cash in those 15 points for a book, but the book might be less than $15 value, or it could be greater than if the book's your choice. But it's just it's so murky. Why not just buy the books if you want to buy the books?
Well, you can do that.
Yes. So that's if you're doing that route, Audible's okay.
Same thing with Google.
I think I had this idea just now.
Yeah.
I think they should have through the library, books that the library doesn't have for you to rent or borrow to listen to for free. They should have a rental system where the library gets part of the money, and then of course the royalties are paid for you to rent or borrow the book. And then like after just so many people have rent and done that, maybe the library can own it. Or some kind of system like that would be really anyway.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
I did a lot with Libby. Updated that app. It used to be Overdrive that my library used, and then both of the libraries that I'm members of, they both switched to Libby. And
it does. When you told me about that, it was actually pretty interesting knowing that the libraries are moving into that kind of direction to be able to access their stock online.
There's so many audiobooks and ebooks
Mm-hmm.
you can access just through the online free. If you're a member of your library.
The Cam Scanner app was recently found to have malware on it. And this is an app being distributed through the Play Store. And
so malware is a virus that will then like attach to your device.
Yeah, essentially, what malware does is it starts working using your device to do work that's generally nefarious, and
collecting your data,
or connecting your accounts, or like getting your information or sending your information. There's a few things. Recently, they just actually announced that there was some malware that was ended up sending you text to get to websites where it was use, and then it would try to use your information on those websites to gain access. So spam sites, like those pop-up spam sites. It was giving your information to those spam sites so they could get access to them. I'm not exactly sure what the whole end goal was there, but it was interesting that this, along with Cam Scanner, had its own version of malware, and now there was this another malware found on about 20 different apps from the App Store that they found, and it was just hidden in the code.
Have they now removed all of those?
Everything has, or the Cam Scanner app was kicked off of the App Store for a while, and now it's back
without the malware.
Without the malware, and like as far as we know.
Yeah, but I'd still be I'd be very apprehensive to trust them if that has been something past.
And the Cam Scanner app is a pretty big, it's a pretty like well-known scanner app. Like it's usually if you don't want to pay for a scanner app or you don't have Adobe, like it's like the first free option.
That's not one that you downloaded.
I don't believe you have the Cam.
I've never used such a. I wouldn't.
But yeah, if you did have that, and there's a list of about 20 different apps that have a different virus malware thing. You want to uninstall those instantly, and then it's hard to trust those companies. Like, and that is something that Apple has over Google, is like they have a lot more curated store, that they do pretty intensive testing to make sure that apps aren't doing these kind of shady things background.
At this point, is the App Store on Apple
yeah, definitely safer. And
definitely,
and right now it's actually getting even weirder when it comes to games like Fortnite. Not even going through the Play Store, you download it separately through the Fortnite store, or like Fortnite's website.
And, so you now
and then you have to tell your phone to allow apps from other unauthorized sources. Like
that does. And then so wait, once you tell your phone to allow that, even just the one that, does it open up potential for other things to accidentally download?
You can download, at that point you can download any APK and install.
I don't know what APK.
APK is the file format for phone apps.
Oh, okay.
And so you will start seeing a lot of more places starting to use, like operating systems starting to use their own storefronts, like Google Play Store, the Windows Play Store, or the Windows App Store, or the Apple App Store. But they have fees associated with them. So if I sell something on there, they take a fee for having it on their store. And so you'll see games like Fortnite that are big enough that they don't need it. They can just say, hey, we're selling it. You can just download it from our website, and they have a big enough audience that you know already. You don't have to go to the App Store. But they'll try to avoid, losing money on just having on people's storefronts. So it's going to be interesting to see how this moves forward. If the storefronts start not charging people for being on the storefront, but have a way more curated system, I think that would be the ideal way of doing things. You can still download independently if you want, but I think the storefront should definitely be the safest place to go to for these things.
In general, just
like given like that kind of power that Apple, Google, Windows, they can be held responsible for that. And I don't think that's too terrible of a curation, because if you know what you're doing, you can find it elsewhere. The other thing was, what was the other two? Oh, so I was actually listening to Joe Rogan the other day, and he had Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and they actually were started talking about the targeted ads between on Facebook and all of your devices. Joe Rogan even goes so far as saying, they're listening on the camera on your microphones at all times, and you'll get pop-ups for what things you're talking about in home, even though you're not talking to Google specifically. And Neil deGrasse Tyson said that like he heard that happens, and that's why they don't have like a Alexa or a Google Home at their place. And he's very much in the mind of not like trying to avoid this whole or this whole crusade that tech is going to be into immersed in your lives, right?
Okay.
And it was interesting because a few months ago, Joe Rogan had MKBHD on, and he had the opposite opinion of like, look, they have our information anyways. I might as well take as much advantage of it as I can by letting it, like, by having it tell me the traffic home, by having it tell me, when my next flight is, and, giving me updates on that stuff instead of, because it's not like they don't have the information. So why would I not bother, or why would I just avoid utilizing that myself?
In general, I would take that stance because while it is frustrating to think that privacy is where you don't think of it being a breach, it is convenient, it is highly convenient, and oftentimes the services are free. And so the way they run is by ads, and the way you get so many ads is they curate them, right? My biggest thing is I'm generally not saying things that I'd be concerned about it overhearing. Mm-hmm. Granted, we only have one in our home, so it's not even that it could hear most of the things we say. It's only in the living room, so it's probably more than anything hearing our TV. Besides that, my biggest concern would be confidential conversation. So if it was true that devices are listening more than just like a Google Home or the Alexa, similar devices, those you kind of almost expect it. It could still breach confidentiality. That is a good thing to keep in mind, for sure. I would hope that our phones don't have mics that are listening all the time, because literally,
well, they have the OK Google thing.
It's on the phone, and only if you say OK Google does it supposedly listen. But
it's listening all the time for those words, but then supposedly it's not sending that like it unless it hears those words, it's not sending anything to servers. Now, Joe Rogan and a few others claim that it is actually sending that because they've
gotten marketing based on they haven't said.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't encountered that firsthand myself.
I haven't either, and so I'm still skeptical on that. But there have been other situations where Google Home has accidentally turned on and listened to things that people didn't want them listening to.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is that companies have to be transparent. If they are listening, people have the right and need to know that. Again, there are confidential conversations on a daily basis that happen, and if my phone were actually listening, I wouldn't be able to take my phone to work, for example. Like that, it's not worth having the convenience of a phone if it really puts your job at jeopardy.
So, yeah, I agree. Like, it seems that if what they're saying is true, that it is spying all the time, then that is like a no-go. But when it comes to the Google Home, right, it tells you like when it's listening, you have the lights lighting up, and there's usually like a little ding sometimes that is so you know when it's actively listening to you and sending stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm in the mind like it's gonna happen anyways. There's not really much we can do about it unless you just go off the internet altogether. And this is kind of our fault for like wanting a free internet, right? We don't pay for Facebook, we don't pay for YouTube, we don't pay for Google, so
Right.
they have to monetize it in a way where, and this is what they found was,
Yeah.
you know, being able to sell targeted ads which are more effective, right? Like you can
Well,
pay.
and for people too, for consumers, a lot of times those ads
Mhm.
are more effective.
This was also the other thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson said about it was if you go if he's in the mind, if I go to a store and somebody tells me or asks me if I'm if they could help me look find something, then I will probably spend less at that store than if they left me alone, because they robbed me of the opportunity of browsing, was the way he put it. He might have found something that he didn't even know he wanted.
And that might be for some people. I'm either in the mindset that I'm going to browse and it doesn't matter if this person talks to me or not, or I'm in the mindset that I need to get the thing and get out. Like, and if I know where it is, great. If not, I'm gonna ask some. People asking me at a store doesn't. And he's probably right that on the internet, some people will be more likely to browse, but the ads aren't looking for people who are browsing. They're trying to present things that you might be tempted to get or are likely to get, and then now it's making it more convenient, or they might be offering you like a discount, some kind of deal, and or they're just shoving their brand in your face, and so that when you think of that item you think of their brand.
Yeah, and I mean it's more cost effective, the targeted ads for the companies too, right? Before they had to spend lots of money to reach a wide audience to hit only a certain target. Well,
That
now
makes
they can
sense.
go spend that money on that specific target and get more bang for their buck. More of those people will buy the products, and you get a larger percentage back, essentially. And
I would think though, if the Google those things were listening in people's homes when they're not saying the wake up prompt to the device, I would think that that would put those tech companies that are doing that in a sticky situation for a few reasons. One, around laws that say, like, if you have a reasonable reason to believe that you are in a safe place free of being recorded, that people can't just do that. And I think most people in their own homes where they have those devices, their idea is that they're in a safe place, not being recorded, one. And two, then I think it would also put them into sticky situations around, like, if they were to hypothetically hear malicious criminal conversations, if there was a criminal, I don't even, like a
obligation.
Yeah, like drug deals, or like if say a meth maker, I don't know, one of those people who makes drugs or deals drugs had a Google Home or an Alexa in their house, and it overheard those kinds of conversations, or violent conversations, domestic violence kinds of conversations. Wouldn't that, in their collecting that information, then they are aware, doesn't that put them in a position that, well, if they've got all these files, shouldn't they then be doing something about it? If, like, it's either like you shouldn't listen at all, or if you're listening, then you at least have to address when there are criminal things. And I know that's, like, again, breaching the whole, you believe you have reason to not think you're being recorded, so you shouldn't be being recorded. It's just a very sticky gray area.
Yeah, I don't think that they would have any obligation to report anything that they find. It's unfortunate, but that you end up the impact of them, like that, their reach, being able to hit anybody and everything, would be far more egregious than letting the process work as it is for the criminal justice system. Like, if you allow, if that were to be the case, where they would send reports of people to law enforcement agencies, then you end up starting forward a society where maybe it's not just homes anymore. Maybe they'll, like, just anywhere at any time, you're always being recorded and trying to find the outlier. And then on top of that, what if one day it becomes criminal just like they're kind of doing now when it comes to the whole partisan world that's happening, where if you say something that people don't like, then they could they could just shut you down altogether. And so now you don't have that. So now it's not just online where you can say something wrong. You can just literally say something wrong anywhere at any time and anywhere in the world.
So it seems like the bottom line that you and I are getting to is, we agree that ideally none of these speakers, none of these devices would just be listening without authorization and without the knowing that it is listening in a limited time frame.